Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today we're getting blessings and messages from your heart, from the source of your abundance, your nurturing, your creativity. So a kind of divine feminine focused reading, but it's not divine feminine in the context of twin flame energy. I mean, there could be love that comes up if something like that actually connects and that resonates for you, that's fine, but that's not what I'm really going to be focusing on. I'm focusing more on what's within you, regardless of whatever gender you are or identify with. It's that feminine energy, those sort of aspects. And the inspiration for doing it is that I just purchased a couple of more decks from one of my favorite creators, Christopher Lee, who I've interviewed. If you want to go and see a little bit more about his decks, having seen this, there is actually an interview with him in my deck creator playlist. The two decks that I got are very feminine themed, and that's why I wanted to do it. The first, this is the Divina Serenity Oracle deck. And it's really kind of different archetypes and energies of the sort of feminine form, the feminine energy within. And then I'm also using his really cute and wonderful Tarot Gals tarot deck. So that's sort of anime female figures representing the tarot archetypes. So that all called to me to do a feminine themed sort of reading. So that's what we're doing. So what I have here is I shuffled and asked Spirit for an overarching energy of blessing from that side of your own soul, your own spirit. And there's two other cards from the Oracle deck beneath there. I don't know what they are. One will be a message very specifically from your heart, and one will be a message specifically from your nurturing, creative, that side of things, the abundance side and the heart and the connection side. So the three together will give us a bit of an idea about what the blessings are, and then we'll go into tarot and so forth. So for pile number 1, we have comfort. For pile number 2, we have trust. And for pile number 3, we have adventure. So of course, go to more than one if you want. You might have some messages across readings, but when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, as always, I've got the timestamps in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So you come to the reading with comfort as an overarching energy. And that could be, given the nature of this card, because you've actually been through difficult times. And so a blessing for you at the moment would be to get comfort, to be connected to those who can understand, provide empathy and care. Or it may be that you feel called to do that for others. You may do it in a career, you may do it for your friends. Sorry if I keep moving the camera. So it could be either of those things. But it's an overarching sense that your inner feminine is either drawing that energy to you if you need it, or giving it to others, or some combination of the two, and it is a blessing. So if you are doing it for others, it is a blessing to them. If you need it, there is a blessing coming to you to bring you comfort. So if you have been through a lot, there's an interesting recipe for a big shift in the heart energy and the abundance energy or creative energy here. If that doesn't resonate and you're more one that gives comfort to others, then this might be something about how you best do that and how you bring the biggest blessing to others and therefore draw a blessing to yourself. So I'm going to talk about both, and then we'll sort of see with the tarot whether it tilts more towards one or the other. But as I say, comfort here is about the sort of concept. The overall blessing here is to receive comfort or give comfort, or some combination of both. It does suggest, with the two figures here, there is at least one person that either needs that from you, or that you're going to provide, and you provide it, or that you need it and you draw someone to you. The heart energy, it makes a lot of sense in comfort that heart is important here. What do you feel? What are your emotions? And we have joy, which is beautiful. And look at the expression on the person's face there. There is a kind of contagious energy to joy. And so I feel that either someone is comforting you to reclaim joy to your heart and what it is that you would actually want to see as joyous. And this is about clarity, so they're connected together. So I think that if you are providing solace to someone else, part of what you do is bring joy. You bring back the sort of sense of gratitude, what is great about life, looking at that side of things rather than whatever the difficult thing was. And if there was a difficult thing, whether it's for you or someone else, it's also what have you learned from that? How have you become stronger? I get an image in that case, in either case really, that when we are building our strength in a gym, for instance, and we're sort of like building muscle strength, we do it by pushing ourselves just that little bit harder, going through something difficult, it's sort of microscopic tears in the muscle then heal and make us stronger. So I think this is saying whatever the difficult situation was, whether it was something you've been through or something you're helping people with, that is a blessing within it. I don't believe every bad thing we go through necessarily makes us stronger. And I think sometimes we need additional comfort and support. But the fact that joy is here suggests to me that there is something within this that can re-engage the heart in a joyful way and in a grateful way. Certainly, if you are giving out that sort of support to others, I think you will receive the joy back of gratitude and people's love for you for the support you've given. But there is that energy there. I think if you are seeking comfort, one of the important things to do around this for your heart is not to go and talk to the person who goes, yes, everything's always bad, but to go to the person who would go, here's what you've learned and here's how you're wonderful and look how you've actually come through this. And equally, if you are supporting someone with this, that is the thing that actually unlocks the divine feminine. It's more the divine masculine that would think, well, here's the power things that you have to deal with and here's the systems and here's the logic of it and, facts, are the important thing, not your feelings. That's not the energy we're looking at here. We're looking at the sort of divine feminine that is an open heart and a joyful heart. So I think that's really lovely. I think this is really a good sign that whether it's you needing help or whether it's the help that you give, there's a sort of infectious joy and moving towards something better. The other thing that's interesting here is I think they're kind of connected because of the nature of this coming in. So I think for some of these readings, these might be quite different. But I do think this is connected because you have crystal spirit, and crystal spirit is about the energy and vibrations of spirit, of crystals, and getting and aligning your spirit with it. So I feel like this, for those that are, well, there's three ways this could be operating. If you are doing something like this as a profession, you bring joy, then your own sort of alignment towards crystal energy, understanding that whether you overtly or just sort of underneath subtly introduce that energy into what you do as your practice, will be something that helps bring abundance. If you are just helping someone, studying crystals might be good for you if you don't already know about it and finding the ones that will help to unlock the joy and connect it. Beyond that, if this is one thing and then this is the abundance on another level, I think that crystal energy that has to do with abundance, receiving, nurturing, creativity, all of that sort of stuff would be worth researching, because this is suggesting to me that your divine feminine, your inner creative energy understands that you could align with those crystals, and studying those and understanding it could actually bring forward more abundance, more creativity, more inspiration. So it's a very specific message, which I think is interesting. So overall, I think for most, this is gaining or providing, or a bit of both, comfort to others, bringing joy back and aligning it with vibrations that brings in a sense of abundance, nurturing, creativity, the next step, the thing that you can be grateful for, the thing that you can move forward with joy. So it's lovely and a lovely blessing. So let's see a little bit with the Tarot Gals Tarot. We're going to ask firstly a little bit more about the joy side. So what and how it connects overall to the comfort. Like what are we looking at here as the main blessings for your heart? Death, Queen of Swords reversed, Ace of Wands reversed, the Star, and the Ten of Wands. Okay, now that's really interesting. There is definitely about removing a burden and bringing joy back, whether it's being done for you or for others. But this is very much what I was kind of saying here with the Queen of Swords reversed next to the Death card. Either you or maybe people that you have been around, I think, default to the logical, analytical side of things, to the point that sometimes it gets you in an infinitely reductive spiral into pessimism. And that can happen. Like there's a very, very delicate balance between spiritual positivity and kind of practical reality. And it's one that I definitely always try to balance, because I might tend to go more towards the practicality than the spiritual positivity quite often. So this is an interesting lesson for me too. And remembering that joy is important. But I feel like part of this, to get the comfort or to give the comfort, this is making a decision to move away from that which was either self-critical or too critical, too much in the mind. Because it's actually blocking. It's blocking not only joy, but it's blocking creativity. And there's definitely a sense of creativity around what we're talking about, around nurturing abundance, creativity in that sense. So there is almost something in this that was meant to bring to you or whoever you're comforting an understanding of an overly critical, overly intellectual approach to something and how it blocks creativity. It interests me because I talk sometimes to very creative people, and sometimes they get caught up in the ideas and not in the execution of something, or they're always critical about this, but should I do it here or should I do it this way or whatever, and it actually blocks the inspiration. So I say, just go out and do it because you'll work it out as you go along. And this, I think, is what it's saying. This brings joy, it brings the stars. So this joy is to bring back the sense of what is your path or the path that you're helping others with. How do you relieve the burdens of this? I love the way that this Ten of Wands is portrayed, because she's throwing the burdens away. Like, that's what you should do. You shouldn't be weighed down with the burdens. You should be releasing that energy, and particularly creative energy. I think this could be people who've had frustrations or difficulties around a creative project or something in that vicinity. If it's around love, and it could be around love, then an overly critical view of self is stopping the general sort of like passion even occurring, and getting back to the joy. And it's sort of like the joy of living, the joy of existing, the joy of having a heart releases this energy, rather than the critique of why don't I have someone in my life right now? Why am I not chosen, or whatever it might be. So this is about bringing back choice and being happy with the choice, rather than second guessing yourself, or the people that you're helping second guessing themselves altogether. And I think it might be partly why we've got the crystal spirit there, and we're going to look at that next. Like, how do these two steps help bring that, and how does that kind of work that out? How do we bring in abundance? What's the energy there? Because I feel like the card that came there is actually a bit of a cheat sheet. It's a bit of a here's a way. And in fact, it's interesting if that's the case, because if you go and look at crystals and you think about their properties, there's an established system and a logic to it. So it may be what this is saying, whether it's for you or someone you're helping, that pointing them towards crystal energy to help their abundance, to help their creativity, quiets that side of the mind, which is always looking for the reason. So if you just went straight to the person, or if someone just said straight to you, like, life is meant to be joyful, life is meant to be abundant, just get into that mindset and it's all going to work, they're going to go, yeah, right. But if you say, here's some other tools, they may be more open to it, or you may be more open to it. So that's interesting. So let's see how this leads to abundance for you, like how that crystal spirit energy gets triggered. Two of Swords reversed, Wheel of Fortune reversed, Six of Cups, Queen of Wands, and then the Eight of Wands. Yeah, it's telling a similar journey. It's saying that if this is you, we're getting into the joy and just sort of like moving towards it and creating the vibrational energy to bring something in, or whether it's the person that you're comforting. There is a point where decision making is the block. And it may well be the thing that creates the thing where you need comfort, where something hasn't worked out for you or for somebody else. Because this is the thing, a decision is what's necessary, but there's actually kind of like, I don't have all the facts. And what if I make the wrong decision? Like what if the Wheel of Fortune is just not working for me? What if it's like, I don't see sort of the disaster coming? There is very much a kind of almost cautionary pessimism feeling around this, which is what this is saying, your heart is saying to move out of. Your abundant energy is wanting you to kind of let go of. It's the overthinking energy. Part of this is to get back to almost the nostalgic feeling of the joy you had when you were young. A child, I mean, if you think about it, people go through things when they're children, bullying and harassment, all kinds of things. So I'm not saying that childhood is always sunshine and puppies, but there is a kind of thing with children. If you watch young children, they might fall over, they might cry, and then 2 or 3 minutes later, they're happy and running around again. It's almost like reconnecting to that energy, because it opens up your creativity. Where's that kind of joy? Open that joy up that you had when you were young. That will liberate you. But I think it's because you want a little bit of evidence that we've got this. This is why it's saying crystal, and it doesn't have to be crystals, but I think crystals is a good one, because it's sort of like very much of the earth. It's sort of vibrational. You can have that around you. You can sort of say, this particular crystal is good for bringing in the energy I want. I have that in my pocket or whatever it is. It just grounds it and allows you to quiet down your mind, because that's what you need to do. And, as I often say when I talk about quieting the mind, I live in my head far too much. So I know this energy a bit. I can sort of see how this might work if you're looking to to get back to the joy and looking to be able to sort of move forward in a positive way. So what other blocks, we're just going to get 3 cards for this, or unseen elements could occur to get in the way of these blessings, just so that you're aware of them. The 5 of Pentacles, the Moon, the Lovers reverse. Okay, for some of you, this is about how you relate to others. For some, if this is you needing this, you may not have immediately available the other person that can be the comfort. You may have to be your own comfort. Or you may have people around you who are comforting you, but you're not really sure what their motives are. You may be feeling very alone. So if you've come to this and thought like, I need comfort, but I don't have the person, that could be a block. But it's saying then it's you. You can do it because you could do it for other people. And using this sort of system, with crystals may help you. But certainly the fear of being alone or the fear of lack are one of the things that could stop you moving forward. And this is probably, so it's all stuck in this area of the cards where it's sort of like, I've got to have a plan. I've got to have a logic to it. Fortune may not work for me. Can't just trust it. I have to know. I can't make a decision till I know. So that's a kind of, as I say, cautionary pessimism, lack mentality. So that could be a block. It's not going to be for everybody here, but it could be a block to be aware of. Also, with not knowing everything, some of you may be dealing with a situation where you feel like a lot is hidden. And you could be right. And it could be around different relationships, or if it's a love relationship, you really don't know what the other person feels or thinks at the moment. So you're feeling like, I want to be passionate and move with things and move quickly and come into myself, but I just don't know. I don't have the information. Crystals may help calm that energy. You've probably just got to go through time with that to see. But the thing is to remember, with the joy here in your heart, is that if a relationship does not turn out to be what you want, and you're again alone or something, it's that is to clear the energy to bring someone else in. So I think it depends on how this is playing out. And all of those things that I've just said apply if you would be helping someone or comforting someone as well. Okay, so that's the feminine side of it. Let's just get a couple of cards from the masculine archetype deck for what your inner masculine thinks about this. And I do feel your inner masculine sort of sits around in the overthinking area, but let's just see, rather than just presuming on that, what would your inner masculine say in balance to the messages and the blessings of your heart and your kind of inner creative abundance energy? Firstly, okay, that's where it's sitting. So this is one of the cards that's actually about the hero's quest. And this is where you kind of know that you could be going towards something new, but you go, no, I don't want to change. Don't want things to shift too much in my life. So some of you might be saying, you know what, whether it's in relationships or something else, like, no, I can't just get joyful and go to the next thing because I've had enough. I'll stick with what I've got and I'm not doing anything till I know. So the refusal to change is often that thing of like, I don't have enough evidence. I don't know why I would bother doing this. I like where I am, or, even if I don't like where I am, I'm kind of comfortable. I understand it. So there is something about that we can get almost comfortable in our unhappiness sometimes. So it's just inviting you to get back to joy in the sense that you can sort of ground an energy that brings in what you want. So that's one of the issues that's going on. So that mind, the intellect, is doing this at the moment, I think. And also, Land Steward. Okay. I think that some of you are looking up after other people, or you feel a responsibility to look after other people or something in this. So it's sort of like, for some of you, there is a very material reason why you feel like I can't just go into my joy and move towards, abundance for myself personally, because I have a really important job, or I have and I can't, the decisions that I make really impact other people. So I can't just kind of let go. So I feel that part is where the crystal spirit energy could work. If it's not literally working with crystals to me are like pentacles. They have that similar energy. There might be sort of like, sometimes for some of you, depending upon what this is about, you do need to at least know that you have the financial basis for this, that if you want to try and do something new and follow your joy or whatever, you need to know there's a financial basis. And this might be one of these things here. With the Land Steward, I think it could be that if that fits with this is about wanting to do something new, creative, take a work organisation forward, take your team forward, or anywhere where you might have that kind of responsibility and you're going like, no, I can't risk it, this is saying that there is something really wonderful to get, and you could get back that excitement in what you're doing and relieve some of the burden. But you do need, and this is where the crystal spirit, I think, is taking on a bit of a allegorical energy. It's like, work out the fundamentals of this on a practical level. That's really all you need to do. Then allow the energy to move forward. Because once you know there is a kind of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is looked after, the basics are looked after, then you will feel freer to follow your joy. If you are talking to someone and comforting them about something where they really need to open up their creativity, again, if you understand and you hear that they feel that their decisions impact other people, then help them use a way to find a basis for that where they feel comfortable. I think that's how to deal with the kind of like cautious energy that I think I'm getting from the divine masculine side of you. Okay, so let's get you a couple of goddesses. Let's turbocharge your capacity to take this advice on. Yuzumi and Oshin. So these are kind of perfect for both these sides, I've got to say, because Yuzumi is sort of like a goddess of joy, which is what we're talking about, and dance, enjoyment, flow. It could be suggesting that like just even that kind of the flexibility, the movement, music, rhythm, all of these things can get you or the person that you're trying to comfort, if it's someone else, in touch with their joy again. So if you are looking after someone who's a bit brokenhearted, or who has broken up a relationship but they still feel a responsibility, say, to children, or there's some issues around their work or whatever it might be, maybe just go out dancing with them. Get them in that sort of energy. Joy is definitely trying to come in. Your heart's really knocking on the door for you or for whoever you're comforting to let that back in. Then Oshin is a sort of river deity, but she's also a deity of prosperity and like ritual towards prosperity, and talks about, this is saying that it's time to align your life physically and productively with your soul purpose. So I think there's sort of something here about the crystals. There's something about the earthing of this energy is actually going to be really helpful. It's going to make you feel, you or the person you're helping, feel comforted, joyful, able to move forward, because there's a real blessing here about something abundant and joyful to come in, but there's just been this lack of joy and lack of freedom and lack of flexibility and high degrees of responsibility weighing it down. So this is the blessing, is to come through and liberate from that, but to give a basis that is strong enough and secure enough that you feel you can move forward. It's a very consistent message. Let's see what the stars want to tell you. The waxing gibbous moon, clarify your direction and intention. Like this is, and I'm actually going to put this here because I feel like there's something about clarity to do with the crystal energy, whether you literally do it through crystals or whether that's a metaphor, but there's something about what are almost the first principles that you want to work from. The seventh house, for many, this could bring love or be about relationship. And we did see the lovers. There's if there is a breakup in a relationship that you're comforted from or comforting someone from, or if it's around connections with others, and this doesn't have to be marriage and that kind of relationship, it could be a partnership or whatever, there is something here clarifying that, but it is promising that that is possible. If a fear is to be alone, it's saying no. And we have the first quarter moon, picking up speed, make decisions. So I think that this, and it's interesting, I feel I wanted to put that over there. I think one of the other things that's going on that might be why we sort of sit in the refusal to change is some sort of relationship issues. And as I say, they don't have to be love, are demanding a decision at the moment, and things are speeding up, and there's some sort of like concern about that, or there's some healing still going on from something. So this is why the clarifying of intentions is really important, because the energy needs to be liberated so that you can move towards the joy and you can move towards creating abundance. So there's something around that. Something needs to be clarified, and for you need some sort of a system, because otherwise your mind's going to stop it. And as I say, it could be crystals, it could be getting your astrology chart done, it could be any kind of spiritual system, meditation or whatever, but something like that that grounds it and makes you think, yes, I'm feeling confident. It's really, really important. Or for the person you're comforting, if that's what's going on. Okay, so just to finish off, I just want to get a final blessing for you. So a blessing over the whole reading of blessings, the kind of thing to bring it all together. a blessing to shield and safeguard you. Okay, so Spirit knows here that even if you get that kind of grounding or whatever, you're still going to be a little bit worried. What are the consequences of things? That Wheel of Fortune reverse. I'd say that whatever you are being comforted from and you're comforting the other, it's been a pretty big reversal. It was a betrayal of trust. It was sort of like losing a job. It was something that was really fundamental and that makes you feel extra cautious because you don't know that the universe is going to provide for you. And so how can you get to that joy energy when you're still dealing with that? This is to say that, like, if you get the basics done and you kind of connect your heart, you're going to be protected. So I think that's a beautiful ending message to say, like, this, the whole message of this is about comforting yourself or others around, even if there are reversals of fortune, the wheel turns again, and you can in fact move forward and take away the burdens and start to manifest joy and abundance in your life. So I hope that you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with trust. What we also have here is the heart energy, which is hope, and the kind of nurturing, creative, abundant kind of outcome blessing, which is illumination. The first thing that interests me about this is it wouldn't surprise me if some people will also have gone to pile 1. You don't have to. You don't by any means have to. But there is a kind of a synergy, and it actually struck me even when I was laying out the cards for the choice, that the first 2 piles both had 2 people in them. And so the first pile was around people who are comforting, you comforting another or another comforting you. In this, it's a slightly different thing. It's just that for some of you, I think there could be a connection. But go by your instincts about that. But here it's sort of the trust. This is sort of showing 2 female knights who are going to go out and they're going to have each other's back, and they're kind of looking and surveying the terrain and so forth. So there's something in the blessings from your inner divine feminine, your nurturing, your heart, your caring, which is about who to trust. And the card talks about, on one level, we need to be able to trust. We need to be able to do that, to have relationships and move forward, and the importance of trust around one or more relationships in your life. And that may be why you've come towards this, whether it's a love relationship, a family relationship, a friendship, a work relationship, a business partnership, whatever it might be. The other thing, though, talks about having the discernment to know who to trust. And I almost feel, looking at this in a total, that while there may well be for some who've come to this, having gone through a process of illumination over here around something that you want to create, something that you want to nurture, something that you want to do that would bring in abundance to your life. In some cases, you're going to go, there is a person or people that I can trust, and in others you're going to say, no, I actually have to just trust in myself, and this is a journey on my own. So it's going to depend probably who comes here, but it will be interesting to see what we get with tarot, to see whether it tilts one way or the other. Because when we look at the hope card, this talks about your heart wants to hope. So if you're looking at whether you trust someone or trust a relationship or trust a course of action or whatever it might be, your heart wants to open its arms and trust and hope. And it talks about trusting that hope is not just a chimera, it's not just an illusion, it is actually a kind of a precognition of the rightness of trusting and the rightness of what you're doing. But it also kind of talks about discernment as well. And when I see hope, I sometimes think of Pandora's box, because the story there is, of course, that she opened the box, let out all the kind of issues in the world that we have to deal with, but hope was what remained in the box. And it's sort of like there could be, for some of you, quite a battle associated with this. Like for some of you, this could be a spiritual battle or some sort of like conflict or something like that, that you're kind of with the kind of knights showing there, or a very big quest, like a Grail quest sort of thing. So I think for some in this, there is something about power and something about trust and about a bigger cause also operating with it. So discernment, trust. It's almost like there's that saying, trust but verify. And what interests me then is that sort of the heart wants to hope, wants to be open to it. But the part that's about nurturing creativity and abundance, the messages from there, which I think is about how we manifest things really, is illumination. And this is often about going into the dark night of the soul, going into what is shadowy or misunderstood, going into what you need to find out more about with your own illumination, your own torch. So I kind of think there's a sense of there could be people or a person or whatever, or a lover or whatever it might be, that you really can trust and your heart wants to trust. But to see whether you can manifest that's almost a journey on your own. It's almost like these 2 knights have to initially, and they're looking in different directions, they have to initially go and look at different terrain, then come back And if it is going to be a collaboration or they're fighting on the same side, then they can compare notes and know better what they're dealing with. So I feel like your inner divine feminine says that, yes, you need to stay open to hope. You need to stay open to being able to trust, because you are going to have people in your life that you can. But to be able to have the discernment to do that when you're looking about how you manifest things in your life, where you put your energy, where you actually put your trust, what you create out of it, that's a solitary journey that you have to go through to be able to discern and decide who to connect with. So I think there's something around all of that. So we're going to see where the tarot illuminates, no pun intended, a little bit more about that. So we're going to firstly look at what your heart is really trying to say. Then we're going to say how that leads to something around abundance, creativity, all of those sort of energies. Then we're going to look at what potentially still blocks, or what could be potentially still hidden. So a little bit more about hope. Hope is, the other thing I would say is, hope turning up in a reading that I do, I sometimes say, and this is maybe says a lot about me, to be honest, that hope is the thing I have when I know something's not going to happen. So, and I don't mean to bring a pessimism in there, but I think it is about discernment. I think I tend to go a little bit too much to that. If the evidence isn't all there, then I'm not going to trust in it, and that's not a good way to do things. But on the other hand, if you're just too open, then you may end up with the wrong alliances or whatever. So it's an interesting. I mean, hope is really important. It's really important, and the heart needs hope, but it's almost something I'm a bit afraid to have personally. So it's sort of interesting that it turned up there. So let's just see a little bit more about the hope. The Lovers reverse. Yeah, this could be about a relationship. The 10 of Wands, the 8 of Wands, Temperance reversed, the 10 of Cups. Okay, so where you are right now is like the two people looking in different directions. I think for most this might be a love reading or at least a collaboration, friendship reading or something like that. I think this is coming up, and the question is, do you trust someone? Now, the Lovers reverse doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't, but it is a sort of issue where maybe there isn't a lot of clarity around what the roles are or what the expectations are or something like that. It may simply be that it hasn't been expressed yet. It's early in a relationship or something like that, and this is partly why your inner divine feminine is saying you need to go and explore what you actually want, what you're really hoping for, and then you can articulate that, and then you can discern, for instance. But it's showing at the moment that because of whatever this is, where you're not sure about that, you're carrying more of a burden than you should with the 10 of Wands. What I do like about this card, though, is that she's thrown the wands up. She's saying, no, I'm not going to put up with that. I really love this almost sassy attitude that this 10 of Wands has. So it's good. It's like you're going to open your arms to hope. You're not going to be too burdened down. You want to see a free-flowing energy here. But you do know something's out of balance. The hope is for it to all come together, and there is a lot of possibility that it could. But I think that one of the issues around this, and why this feels to me a more solitary card, like why looking at your nurturing and creativity and what you create, even if you do end up in the relationships, not saying you won't, is that this is a journey only you can do to know what you want. Because if you are relying on the other person for your happiness, things are out of balance. So it needs to be your hope. It needs to be what you would want in a relationship. It needs to be the evidence and so forth that would make you trust. That will free the energy. And if it isn't there, it will free you to go and look for where it is, in whatever this is, whether it's a love relationship or something else. So let's see how opening your arms to hope, but in a discerning way, and then going and doing your own reconnaissance, really, to illuminate it and understand a little bit more. How does that work to bring you the blessings? Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Cups, wow. Justice reversed, 8 of Pentacles reversed, 3 of Cups reversed. Okay, all right. All right, it's telling me there's some other stuff complicating this. So at its best, well, firstly, this is you going into your own sovereignty, both in what you want to manifest in the world and what you want to feel. So the good thing about going on your own journey for this is it allows you to know really what would I commit to, what do I want to feel, what's authentic for me. And it's really important to do that because it almost looks like at the moment out of the hope you could tilt towards the vision that the other person wants, and that may or may not be the right one for you. You have a skill around this that is better than most. Actually, I'm getting two readings. I'm getting two hits from this. The 8 of Pentacles reverse can mean a couple of things, and I think it's going to depend on the situation, and it may be a bit of both. One way is more needs to be done. So this could be saying more research into this needs to be done, more work needs to be done to see whether it can come into balance, to see whether you can express yourself, be in it, commit, and so forth. That is one way of reading it, because we are looking at what do you want to manifest, what do you want to commit to. With the Eight of Pentacles reversed, it could be that there isn't enough information yet. Eight of Pentacles upright can be study. It can be perfecting of a craft. So sometimes when it's reversed, it's sort of need to do more in that space. In other times, it's you've gone beyond that. And I often read it that way. I often read the Eight of Pentacles reversed to me. It's like you don't really need to study this anymore. It's not about studying it. It's not like, and again, study to some degree or whatever can often be like somebody else's perspective. It could be that you are well enough developed now to go into this journey. You know, you're already a master at that. You're going to sniff out easily whether something is not just. And I feel with the Three of Cups reversed, for some of you, the issue around what you can trust with this, it may be about a partner, like whether there's someone else involved, and you're going to be able to work it out if that's the case. Or whether there are people who are jealous and people who don't want this to succeed. Now, that doesn't mean it's the person that you would trust, but you do need to be careful who you trust. So this is definitely saying that you're in a situation where you're working out what matters to you in your heart, in what you want to create, and you're authentic, you know, and you will commit if something is worth committing to. But there is something you need to work out here. Not every player involved in this is legitimate. Now, if there's only two of you, then it may be a misunderstanding and you may be able to find a way to articulate and balance that. But I feel for many, there's more than just you and another person involved in this in one way or another. And so for you to go towards the abundance and to know this truly and to get to know what you want to do, this is where you get enough information to decide, is this the partnership, the connection or whatever, or is it not? So what, has been hidden that might be, need to be revealed for you to really access this blessing? The Eight of Swords reversed. The Three of Swords reversed. Okay. The Knight of Swords. It's a lot about how you think about things here. And you know how I said, I have this ambivalent thing towards hope? I think some of you are a bit similar to me. And that's not always helpful, that way of viewing things. Sometimes it is, but at other times it's not. So I think that there is a way of thinking to do this that you need to liberate yourself from. And I think it's got to do with trying to avoid the pain of separation or the pain of finding out the truth. So whether this is around a love relationship and you suspect something but you really don't want to know, but if you go in and you really look at it, you're going to know one way or the other, and it might be fine or it might not be. Because that's the thing about hope. We hope for something, but then, trust but verify, as I say. I think there's something here where you need to liberate yourself from a fear of separation or it not working out. Knowing that if that happens, you can move forward on your own. Whatever this is, you don't have to have this person to ultimately have what you want in life. You're heading towards, what you would commit to, what is emotionally resonant to you. And if it's a love relationship, if this does turn out to be the wrong one, this frees you to go somewhere else. But it's almost as though there's a bit of, you're just hoping, you're just sitting in the heart and hoping, and you're not doing the verifying bit. And this is saying to really know whether this trust and hope is justified, you're going to have to go and have a look at it. And in some cases, it's going to be fine. And it was just, you just had to liberate from the fear and you move forward confident then. In other cases, you'll know you need to move on to someone else or something else. Okay, so let's have a look at what your divine masculine thinks about all of this. So we've been talking about the divine feminine and how it's talking to you from your heart and from your wish to be creative and nurturing and abundant. What about the divine masculine? It tends to think about things and like to act and like to have decisions and all of those sort of things. What energy around this is being manifest there? Scribe. Okay, so this could be your divine masculine saying, here's a way to do this. It's like kind of note down everything. It's like almost keep an inventory of what's happening. You'll see the patterns and you'll know. If that's the way, it's sort of like, okay, I'm going to put these in the pros column and these in the cons column or something like that. That could be going on. But it could also be that this is saying that the point of this and the point of going into the illumination here is you're meant to write your own story. You are well developed around what you would commit to and how you feel. If there is a problem in this where trust is an issue, it's not with you. The problem is the other person. And if you know that, you can move on to find the ones and write your story to find the ones that are right. So it's kind of a bit of both. It may be a bit of a technique to assess a situation, but I think it's also saying you have a lot of power to manifest within yourself wants you to find what you do want and don't want, rather than just living in a kind of vague but open hope and trusting the universe will provide. It's almost like really work it out. That's going to help you. And speaker, yeah, you need to talk, you need to say what you want, you need to ask questions. There's a lot of power in your voice actually, and in your mind, and in how you would be very influential on others actually. So that's part of you. And it might even be something that your Divine Masculine is saying you need to know, that because you are very clear on who you are, and you speak the truth, and you go out, a lot of people trust you and follow you, but what you're not necessarily seeing is maybe in some cases they're trying to replicate you rather than being authentic to who they are. So it's like you need to also understand you have a powerful voice, and sometimes that can be a bit too dominating. So it's like, how do you step back a bit and go into your sort of like more spiritual knowing and allow the information about others to come up? So there could be a little bit of a thing here about, if you're always taking the role of the leader, how can you know why the people are following? Something like that. Okay, let's get you some goddesses to turbocharge your power around your Divine Feminine here. Namaka. And Sith. So these are interesting. I've got to say, if this is about, is there a third party in the relationship? Then with Namaka, her story is that she married a sorcerer and then he had an affair with her sister. So, and then that kind of set up this whole thing with the goddesses, the sisters fighting each other. So there could be something here about whether it's a love relationship or whether it's, friendship or something, there could be a triangulation operating here. And one of the things to think about is the person who really did wrong there, or the main wrong, was the sorcerer. Could you be caught in a position where you were pitted against someone else because of a third party? So if that's the case, she was very fiery, very tempestuous. It might be like, think about the consequences of actions that you have. Make sure that as I say, it might be better just to walk away from something rather than to sort of like really go full blown in it if trust is broken on some level. But it could also be think before you act, because in fact this may not be what it appears. You need to actually ground it, and Sif is sort of like, a sense of grounding and getting the information that you need. It's a sense of the earth and what is real and what is tangible, and where you might be being called to help others in some way. So particularly, it could be that there's a flow-on effect to this, to others. So this is something you have to think about. Remembering again that you have a very strong inner masculine, you have a very strong sense of power. So I think it is sort of saying, it is saying like the hope is the open-hearted energy, and like it could work out for the best. And if not, it's like at least you know and you move on. But think about the collateral damage of this. It's a little bit combustible, this, potentially, depending upon what you find out. Okay, and I'm not saying it is going to turn out to be wrong, because it could go either way, but it's like being really aware and how you would respond in either case is very important, and only you can know that. So let's get some stars to guide you. First quarter moon, picking up speed, make decisions, align actions with words. So it's sort of like, what would you do? How would you want to be treated? All that kind of thing. It's important to get those things in alignment, because you've got very strong words. You're very compelling. So align your actions and your heart. Align your divine masculine and feminine together, I think. Mercury, yeah, gee, you're really articulate. You're really clever. You're really sharp. You are going to be able to pick this up, and you'll pick it up quite quickly. It's not going to take you long to work this out. But don't rush it either, because Mercury can be a trickster. So do the real reconnaissance. Make sure that you're sure, because there are flow-on effects of whatever this is. Even if it's just a potential loss of a really great friendship or love that was actually okay if you jump to conclusions. And Libra, yeah, be fair. Be fair in what you do. There's a balance to be brought back here. It's not in balance at the moment, so there's a balance to be brought back. Okay. So just to finish, I just want to get you a blessing overall. This is meant to be a blessing, and it is. I think it's a blessing of clarity around something that you've got to decide whether you can trust or not, and an understanding for you about your own power, the power of your words, the power of your thoughts, and that you may be in this situation are clearer on who you are than the other person is. So it is a blessing to know it, but it's a bit of a tricky energy. So let's see what a blessing to close out the reading is. a blessing to ease loneliness and bring companionship. So this is saying whatever this is, if this is a relationship or something that turns out not to be right, you need to find that out so that you can then find what you who you do want, what you do want. And it's to let go of the fear of that separation, knowing that with the hope. That's the thing, to have hope, to know that you are very authentic, you're very emotionally authentic, you would really commit, you're true to your words, all of that sort of stuff. It's like this is either meant to clarify and say the hope is justified and this is the one and the issues are sorted, or to let that go so that in whatever this is, whether it's love or whatever, so that you can then find the right connections because you're meant to do that. So I hope that this resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with the wonderful card Adventure. It looks really exciting. There's sort of the woman out on the high seas looking for new and interesting things to do. I think we've got the heart here with the moon, and then we've got the kind of nurturing abundance, the kind of creative outcome of this blessing with rest, which is interesting. I think this is a very, very intuitive psychic group, and I think some of the adventures and so forth would be spiritual and within, and some will be out in the world, but the overarching energy to start with is that this is a call to do new things, explore new things, to have that excitement, to really feel the blessing of the excitement, a new day, a new venture, a new job, a new relationship, whatever it might be, or just, I want to travel, like some of you just might want to travel, and this would be a big tick, this is a good time to do it. Like get out into the world, like either your kind of inner world with liminal space and all that, or the outer world, but be open to adventure. What I think we're looking at here is your navigation tool through your heart, and when you really want to manifest something, almost a recipe for what you need to do to make sure you can actually bring it into being. Because what we're seeing here, as I say, is this sense of adventure, moving forward with purpose. The moon card, the heart, that's deeply intuitive. The moon is always kind of psychic power, all of those sort of energies. It's connecting into the liminal space. It's connecting into dreams, all of those things. Your dreams of adventure, your heart is calling you to that, and it's guiding you. I feel like they talk about the navigation on the high seas being through the stars, but I feel almost like the moon is your navigator, your intuition, your psychic power, and your heart is very connected to that. Your heart is very connected to the messages that you get. Very kinesthetic, the feelings and so forth, that kind of energy around you, very intuitive. So it's sort of like you don't necessarily need, your heart doesn't need an external navigation. It has its own internal navigation. And that's why, you can do this because you will find your way very intuitively. But if you want to manifest something out of it, and sometimes maybe you don't really need to, maybe it's just the adventure and that's the main thing and it's a gathering of experiences, but where you want to manifest, nurture, create something out of it, it's also saying you need to rest. You need to give yourself time out. This adventurous spirit might run you ragged or burn you out. So there is something here about rest. Plus, I also feel that in the rest period is when your intuition is at its height. Things like dream symbols and things like that, very, very powerful for you. So when you want to work out from your adventures what you would want to manifest, it's sort of saying you can do a lot of that almost in your sleep. It's all about making sure you have the energy for that, because it's like there really is a balance here. There's at the moment there's only so much energy, and the energy is being focused on the adventure, and that's fine. And as I say, you've got a good navigation. That's a blessing. Your heart knows what it's doing. But when you want to create something out of it, you've got to stop. So one of the things I would say is that, I read for some people who are multi-talented. And what I often say to them is that sometimes you just need to choose one thing and do that first and then do the next thing. Because when you have so many adventures and so many ideas and so much of that, you kind of can do a little bit of everything and none of it actually manifests because it needs a focus. So I feel like this is saying this needs rest and focus, one thing at a time when you're manifesting. So go on your adventures, navigate by your heart, but then give yourself time out to work out what of all these things that were fun and wonderful that I saw do I actually want to manifest in some way. I think that's the message of this. It's your internal navigation system, but it's how you turbocharge that navigation system and how you make the choices out of it. And if you have a naturally exuberant, extroverted, out there, action-oriented spirit, you could burn yourself out. So it's just to be aware of the need for balance. So we're going to use the tarot firstly to see a little bit more about what your heart wants here, which is, I think, to follow its intuition, to navigate its adventure. Then we're going to see how this translates into abundance, which I think for you is going to be how the use of rest, liminal space, your own psychic ability, all that kind of thing, to discern what to do with it, how that kind of connects to this overall adventure. And then we're going to have a look at what you may not see or what could be hidden. Now, that's interesting for you when your heart energy is with the moon, because the moon card in tarot is what is hidden. So I think your heart can really discern that quite quickly, but we'll just see what it may be missing if you're off doing lots of adventures and not really thinking about it. You're just following your intuition. So a little bit more about the moon energy for you in being on your adventures. The 8 of Pentacles, the Knight of Swords reversed, the 10 of Cups reversed, the 3 of Cups, the 2 of Pentacles. Okay. So this is your the moon knows. The moon knows here. The moon knows here that there is much to celebrate and there is much prospect, but you do have to make some choices, because otherwise it's almost like you could turn over all the cups and all the joy that you could have got out of it dissipates because you haven't made the choices. It's like there's an emotional choice that you need to make quite early in the piece, which you probably only can make when you're in a rested state. It's a material choice. So it's saying that this adventure is like learning lots of things. It's like, for some of you, it may be studying lots of things and then trying to decide what to do with it. But it is a skill building thing, and it's building your own intuition, and it's building your trust in your intuition. But it's just saying slow down a little bit. You're on times 10 speed, and like you do need to slow down a bit, because there is a risk that even if you enjoy it, it's kind of it's just the moment of the adventure and it doesn't turn into anything, and you dissipate what you could. I think it's saying early in the piece you will see some things that are truly to celebrate, and that's where you need to make the decision. This is why you need to kind of give yourself time out. It's like, if you're on the high seas, you need to sometimes come into port and have a rest and talk with people and do that. Like, you can't always be out there, no matter how much your heart is calling you to explore all the unknown. So let's see how rest and contemplation can help with that sort of energy for you to manifest what you want to manifest out of this, to get the abundance. So we have the 4 of Wands reversed, the 9 of Wands reversed. Okay, this is how you deal with other people to some degree. The 7 of Wands, wow. The Page of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune reversed. Okay, all right. So you need time on your own too. A lot of this adventure, you're a very internal person, very intuitive, highly psychic, very intuitive. You need to be careful of your boundaries. You may be drawing in a bit too much telepathically from other people. You need to separate a bit out from people. Other people's energy, other people's egos are part of what's getting into this. It's like you're on the seas and you've got your crew, and your crew are taking up a lot of your time. And they're telling you which way to go maybe, or whatever, or they're arguing ideas when you've got the actual navigational skill. So this is saying you're ready to do this on your own. You don't need to rely on others. And the more that you rely on others, the less you're going to actually get the full adventure and get what you want. But you are able to do it. You're ready to step up. And this is listen to your heart, definitely. Let it guide what you want out of this, because that's the Page of Cups. But if you don't make a decision early on, or if you don't take some time away from all the other people and all the other noise and all that, because even if this isn't other people, this is action. This is like action, 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 action with adventure. So you don't want to dissipate your energy. You want to follow what your heart's saying, but there is a risk if you don't slow down, as the moon is trying to tell you to do, and rest. You could actually miss the timing. Like it's more like timing than anything. You probably could have all the different adventures. It's a matter of what order do you do them in. It's like you can't do all the things all at once. And if you're trying to do that, you're not doing any of them enough to succeed. So I think that's what it's trying to say. You're so curious, you're so full of energy or whatever, but it's like it dissipates on any of the things if you're trying to do all the things. So it's like, where do you really want to step up? That's what you've got to think about. And you can only do it on your own. You can't follow what somebody else does, or just to get the validation of others. This needs to be what you want, because otherwise you're just out of whack with your own timing. Your navigation is fine, but your timing is completely out of whack. So slow down a little bit, pile 3. So let's see what blocks or things that are unknown, you do need to bring to the surface. That only kind of taking that rest and that time out can bring you. The Devil reversed, the High Priestess, the Two of Swords, I think, I feel like there is a sense here, because we've got the educational stuff here, we've got an energy of like, as I say, it could be just all your energy, but I think it could be with many of you other people. I feel like you need to liberate yourself from the concept that everything is still always a mystery and you can't decide what to do till you really explored everything completely. Because what's happening, so if you said, okay, if you were back in the day when, the ancient mariners were out there, you're going to like, well, I've got to go in this direction and this direction and this direction. Until I've gone through all three and know them really well, I can't make a choice. What's happening with that is that maybe there's something in one of them, if you use your internal guidance, which you have, to just go 1, 2, 3, 2, that, and focus on 2. There's going to be something good that comes out of that. And then maybe you can go and do 1, and then maybe you can go and do 3. But it's like the choice issue, you need to really navigate to your heart for that. You need to liberate yourself from the concept that you need to know everything before you can choose. It's sort of like, remember that kind of fun of the adventure of what is new and not knowing things. But there's almost like when it comes to what you want to manifest out of it, you need to take time out and work out of all these things, where do I put my effort? That's the real message I'm getting here. Let's see what we get from your divine masculine. So we'll use the masculine archetypes deck and just see what the divine masculine side of you says about all of this. Warrior, yeah, you're brave as, you're courageous, you've got energy to, like huge amounts of energy, very ambitious, very creative, very explorative, all those things. And there's you're on a bit of a mission. But it's like, I do think that needs to tone down a bit, because I don't think you're going to get the outcome you want until you sort of rest and take time out and do some discernment about what to choose. What else is your divine masculine saying about all of this? Hunter, yeah, oh my goodness, what an energy you guys have. But Hunter is also focus. You are kind of looking for a cause or something to fight for. And that may be the way to choose it as well. If there's 3 different options you could do, but one actually has a cause where you feel like you're kind of focused on achieving something and winning a bit of a battle, something that matters to you, that may be the way to choose. But it's like, this feels so restless. All this energy feels really restless. The warrior, the way that he's portrayed here, like a bit like a samurai, like they were always on the move. You got the hunter always on the move. There's like there is the adventure, there is the battle, there is the thrill of the chase, all of that thing. But if you really want to kind of create something beautiful out of it, you need to stop for a while. You need to put down the sword. You need to put down the bow and arrow. You need to kind of like assess this based on what your heart is telling you, because your heart is very, very intuitively, a lot of what's making you really good at this is actually your heart and your intuition, but you may not fully realize that till you slow down enough and look at it. Just feel like you're always on the go, like that energy is really full on. So let's get you some goddesses to turbocharge what the goddess energy is trying to say to you, which is you can get to everything, but you need to slow down, make some choices and do it in a sensible timing. We have Rhiannon. And Amaterasu. Oh, they're interesting in this. They're both kind of turbocharged in their own way. Rhiannon is connected to the moon, so this is particularly connecting to your heart, the heart energy. But she can outrun anyone. And it's true of you, like your energy is off the charts. Like, I don't know whether you've got really strong fire in your chart, or whether just, any planetary positions you have in your natal chart that are in fire signs are getting activated by transits at the moment. But there's a real sense of urgency about this. And so it is saying like urgency is important, but I think this is also because choice is important. So it's like, if you're going to go and outrun somebody, you actually have to have the rest first. It's like getting this thing into balance, because Amaterasu is also saying you're meant to shine your light, and you maybe have been hiding it away a bit. She sort of kind of lived in a cave for quite a while and then eventually came out and shone her light. So there's a time, I feel like this is a time, there's the right time to shine your light, there's the right time to pursue things. You're faster than most, you'll be able to do it. It's like, again, if you take the rest and you make a decision about where to focus, it's not like you're losing the other things, it's that you make a decision and you take something to completion rather than always just being in the chase. I think that's the energy around this. So but overall, like the goddesses are saying, like we're bringing you this message from your heart and for how you can create, because we know you're an adventurer. We know you're as strong as, we know you're quick. We know that you know, all of that. And that's fine. And the time will be right. But your timing is the one thing that could be off if you don't replenish your batteries and make choices. So let's get you some stars to guide you. The 10th house. For many of you, this is around career or who you are in the world in some way. And that could be also why you're in a bit of a hurry. But again, it's sort of like if you're a workaholic, and this could be the pattern of a workaholic. If you don't get some rest, eventually your speed's going to slow down. Eventually you're not going to be as good in pursuing what you need to do. Eventually your timing gets off. So I do think there is a really strong call here to listen to your heart and not just your ambition. We have fixed, yeah, but you're a bit stubborn. You're a stubborn person. You're fixed in your nature. So I think you have to think, is there a way to be a bit flexible on this? Can I put in a new routine that I get fixed on as well too, that allows me to have the rest? Could I do that? And the new moon, the seeding, plant what you desire. And it's saying, yes, you can. You can like actually put into your patterns and your routines. Because you are quick, it's like you're going to catch up. It's not like you're going to get left behind. But you need to make it a habit. You need to make this a habit, because you get very fixed and very focused, but you're also drawn in so many different directions because you're so quick that it's making it hard for you to get the timing right and to really manifest what you want to manifest. So with that advice from your inner divine feminine, we want to finish with an overall blessing. So the whole thing is about the blessings of understanding this, but this is also a blessing to bring it all together to finish the reading. A blessing of forgiveness. Okay, so some of this drive might be that you at some point didn't do something that you thought you should do, didn't fight the good fight, didn't win something. Or you may even have some people, like some of this adventure might be to prove something to people who have not recognized you or not been fair. But part of this is forgiving the past, forgiving all the energies around that, and working out how to incorporate the rest and the contemplation and following your intuition a bit more, in a way that then brings you what you want to have. So it's not saying, gee, you know, if you haven't got everything, you've been kind of like doing all these different things and you haven't achieved anything. Forgive yourself. It's not a problem. It's just showing you your energy. Now it's the next step is to go, okay, let me use my intuition and some time out, some time on my own to finesse that and decide what to do next. So it's not meant to give you a hard time. It's meant to make you understand a pattern that you have and how you can set in place new patterns and habits. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.